Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Mega Man Tertium. After we killed all of the Robot Masters in this game, of course, we're going to start Dr. Wily's levels with the color palettes suggested to me by Skunkrocker. Thank you very much for that. Because I didn't really have anything else to go on, of course. Now that is a castle intro with style. Rocking the Buster for this, of course. And disappearing blocks, but they're the good kind, which are just leading you on a line which you have to travel on quickly enough. The first block is kind of tricky because of the momentum. And these guys here are complete and utter dickbags. They're from Shadow Man's Doc Robot stage in Mega Man 3. And they stay open for about, they stay closed for about 6 frames, as Christopher Nee measured for me, which is kind of nasty, especially considering with the block at the end, and holy shit, I thought there was a boss going to be here. Well, fancy that, it's a giant Suzy, a very interesting callback. This guy deals tremendous amounts of damage and can easily take you out in about 3 or 4, and makes you jump a little when he hits downwards, but it is relatively easy to manage, but can really trip you up if you're not very careful. It's a very nice surprise at the very least, and I love it. Good thing we got the health, because we're off to... drumroll. Tension! Password screen. Yes! Very useful health drop indeed, but it might be just hard-coded for reasons. Now we've got 4 more Robot Masters to choose from. Of course, this is a full-length game, except that the final level is still one single level. So, don't despair, we've got still more to go. For now though, because this was pretty short, let's take a look at some of the things that make Mega Man 3 an actually difficult game, because I wanted to elaborate a little more on that. We've seen a few examples in the stage for causes of death, which would be first surprises and actual challenge. The first one can be bad, but it can also be challenging to avoid by reflex alone. Let's just look at a few examples, shall we? First of all, in Snake Man's stage you slide and then you immediately will get hit. There is almost no way of avoiding that if you don't know that it's there, and even if you know, it's really tough. This is a classical example of this game, just surprising you when you slide out of something, like here for example. You come out and the hopper will immediately jump on you. You've got like half a second to react. I think this is perfectly in line for a surprise, because you can still react, like here for example. We've got 3 examples from Dynamite Man coming up now. This guy here can really easily surprise you. These guys here work in conjunction. You've got very little time to react, and I fuck it up repeatedly because it is pretty tough, but I do think again it is perfectly in line. You just need to be very careful, and it's just not something many other Mega Man games do. The other surprise variant is not that nice, of course, because if you do fuck that one up, then you will get instant killed. There have been quite a few nasty examples, for example here. If I were to run straight forward, jump downwards, then this guy would hit me, I would be dead, no questions asked. This is not fun, not cool at all. Sadly enough, Mega Man Tertium does this a few times, like here for example. If I did not kill this guy within a second, then I would be dead too. He would knock me off the cliff, has happened to me often enough. Even when knowing it's there, it's really hard to avoid, and it's definitely not cool. This guy here is not that hard, but still, you could save yourself from the spikes, but I still count it. Fortunately enough, these were probably the only 3 examples I could find so far, so we're going to see how that goes on later on. Now let's go to a category that's actually good challenge, like good design that makes the level hard, but not unfair. Here for example, we've got these guys here arranged, so you have to very carefully slide around them, lure the top one out, and now the top one is placed just a little higher, so you can't repeat the same tactic. This is at once very nice way of varying the challenge, and it's actually really challenging in its own right. I love it. This here is a very nasty timing puzzle, which you can of course observe for quite a long time, but I found it to be only consistent when you do it immediately. Otherwise, getting through this thing, you have very little space and it will knock you off. It's really hard. And of course you've got the deal breaker here. This jump here, if you try to do it immediately, you will fail it. It is so hard because you will knock your head on the ceiling. The block, if it ever hits you, will knock you off. You will die. No questions asked. It's very hard. So in conclusion, this game I think has lots of instances which make it very, very tough to complete a level on your first go, on your second go, even with a lot of practice. It is definitely doable, of course, but I would say that as the game goes on, it will be more and more apparent that they make a gauntlet of very, very difficult situations for you, intending to wear you down with individual challenges that are pretty tough to avoid on their own, and in a row you really have to know what you're doing, especially as now the levels will also get longer. Stay tuned for another episode of this at the end of the next 4 Robot Masters, and thank you very much for your attention.